Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dylan, and welcome to Dylan the Truth podcast. If you guys are new to this channel, I'd like for you guys to subscribe to this channel and also hit the like button. Deeply appreciated. Um, this segment is about Melle. Um, in case you guys don't know who Melle Mel is one of the pioneers of hip hop. He's one of the members of the Furious Five that started, I believe, in the late 70s. They did a couple of tracks in the early 80s. Um, you know, One of the songs that a lot of people know them for is The Message, which is regarded as the greatest hip hop song ever. And I would have to agree to it because if you think about it, that song is talking about poverty. It's talking about like everyday struggle that people go through. You know, it's like that song is like for the voiceless, and it's still relevant to this day. There's not one song I believe, definitely currently, could ever touch that song. Like it has to be the greatest hip hop song ever. And this is way beyond my time, but the thing with me, I'm a student of the game. So I do my research. I do listen to the guys that came before these rappers that I was used to listening to, or I grew up listening to. I had to go back and listen to guys that started in the 70s to the 80s, obviously in the 90s. Like I listened to everything, like every era. So therefore I could have a better understanding of you know how great those MCs were back then, because I don't want to just base it on one era and just be like, okay, well, this era is the best, but you have to listen to the previous era, and then you get a better perspective. So that's what I always do. I always go back. I always do my research, and I'm a big history guy. So for me, especially with hip hop, I always do my history. So I know like he's one of the forefathers of hip hop. So they'll forever have my respect, and you just have to respect it, because if it wasn't for guys like him, this hip hop that we know today would not exist. Period. So he was on basically a show called The Art of Dialogue. Um, I mean, he was there discussing the Billboard top 50 rappers, and he spoke about there were certain topics that he spoke about, and it was very interesting. He, I mean, certain things that he was saying I didn't agree with. Some of the stuff that he said I agreed, but I mean there was mixed emotions. Like if you get a chance, go on YouTube, check it out. It was a great interview, but I felt like at times he was a bit out of touch, because he even admit that he doesn't really listen to hip hop like that, and he has a reputation of not giving like the rappers that came after him a fair chance. Like he seems to come off as a hater. Like he seems like he doesn't like any of the rappers that's out. But anyway, there was a couple of topics that he spoke on. One notable one, I'll go with the first one. He spoke about Eminem. Now, a lot of people have Eminem in their top five, top 10. He basically said that the only reason Eminem is in the top five is because he's white. He does have a point, because I believe a lot of people put Eminem in the top five. These are more like the casual fans, the ones that don't really listen to hip hop like that. They put Eminem in the top five because of what everybody says. It's a popular thing to say. Yes, oh yeah, Eminem has to be in the top five. I have Eminem in my top 10 because he's a dope MC. For me, I always base it on skills. So if you're really good at it, That's what I base it on. It's not about the color of your skin or anything like that. If you're a dope rapper, you're a dope rapper. That's how I look at it, and I base it off of other things. But for the most part, most people just do it because everybody else is doing it. It's a popular demand. It would be like, okay, well, a lot of people are saying Eminem is in the top five, top 10, so I should say it as well. So he does have a point there. It is valid. Um, because there is an argument where some people said if Eminem was black, he would have just been an average rapper. Uh, I wouldn't go that far, but I understand what they're saying. I get the point. But yeah, he caught a flack for that. A lot of people had mixed emotions about what he said about Eminem being in the top five because of his color of his skin. Um, I mean, there's some truth to it. I'm not gonna say that he's not a dope rapper. I'm not gonna go that far, but as far as him being white and him being on a high pedestal, yes, he does have a point there. He also mentioned something about Busta Rhymes being a all around better rapper or MC than Jay Z. Um, I mean, yes, if you're gonna, you could say all around like if you're factoring everything, like the lyrics, the music, um, stage presence, how you perform on stage. They're gonna factor in record sales, the influence you have on the generation or the fans. All of that comes to play. So if you're gonna factor all that in, then Busta Rhymes does have a better case of being a better all around rapper than Jay Z. A lot of people won't agree because once again, popular demand. They go based off of because Jay Z's a businessman and he's more into his business. So a lot of people will just say Jay Z just because it's a popular thing to say. But if you really sit back and really take in what Melle is saying, he's just basically saying like it's not just you being like dope lyrically. Like how do you perform on stage? Um, your influence in the game. Are you like a game changer? That's what he's basing it off of. So yeah, I mean lyrically, I mean they're both they're both great lyrical rappers. So I mean if you go with one or the other, I can't be mad at that. Um, I mean I read some of the comments about it, and people said what they said. I mean he's entitled to his opinion. And I'll leave it at that. This one really made me laugh. He spoke about Lil Wayne, and I think it was sometime last week. I believe not Eminem, sorry, Lil Wayne was talking about he should have been number one on the Billboard list as a top rapper of all time. So then they asked Melle about that comment that Lil Wayne made, and he said no. And the reason is so funny. He basically said the reason why Lil Wayne is not considered number one or in his top 10 is because he uses autotune. I, I mean, this is what I mean, like what I was talking about earlier. He says things where you just kind of scratch your head because, like, I'm not the biggest Lil Wayne fan, but I will admit that this guy could rap. There's no doubt about it. Lil Wayne could rap, no question. Does he use autotune a lot? Yes, he does. But that doesn't take away from his rhyming skills. It doesn't take anything away from that. I mean, if we're gonna base it on that, then that means Roger Troutman is not considered a great artist because he uses autotunes. I mean, if you're gonna say that for Lil Wayne, you might as well say that for Roger Troutman. I'm just saying, you just have to keep the same energy. You can't be biased like that. You got to be fair. That's all I would basically say about that. I don't believe that would be the reason why he's not in the top 10. I mean, Lil Wayne's not in my top 10, but he's in a lot of other people's top 10, and I can't be mad at that. But to say he's not on that list just because he uses autotune, I mean, a lot of these rappers are using autotunes. And, Lil Wayne's way more talented than these current rappers. There's no doubt about that. Um, yeah, but I found that was kind of funny. I don't know where he was going with that. I think he was reaching a little bit, but once again, it's his opinion. Um, and then the last point he spoke on, which I do agree with him on. They asked him how does he feel about hip hop right now. Now I did mention that he admit that he doesn't really listen to hip hop like that anymore because he felt like it's watered down now. He did say that it was trash because the lack of creativity. Um, you know, I mean, it's gone to a point where it's getting a little too real. Meaning, like before, like if you had like an issue with one of the rappers, you would go on a record and diss them, right? And then the person would have a rebuttal. They would come back with it. That's how it used to work. Nowadays, it's kind of like they're trying to take it to the streets. Like you have to be careful where you're going. You can't go to a certain block without somebody mean mugging you. And that was a point he was trying to make because it's a little different. Um, guys are too quick to take each other out, which doesn't even make sense. I'm like, oh, this is something else. Like it's this is the worst state hip hop has ever been in. Like no question, nobody could argue with me on that one. Um, you can't tell me this is the best it's ever been. Not even close. If you want to talk about lyrically, hell no. Record sale wise, no. Like, don't get it twisted with these streaming. Like, it's easier to get your music out there, but look at the numbers. Look at the sales that they're putting up. It's not that great. So don't let that fool you. That's not working. They're not selling records anymore. It's not the same, and the music is. I mean, I've already stated my opinion on that. Like the music is so watered down. Like it's too repetitive. Everybody sounds the same. Nobody stands out. I mentioned that like so many times. That's where it's so watered down. Um, I mean, that's how I feel about hip hop right now. But he does make an interesting point. Um, and then he also ended it by saying that he puts a little bit of the blame on like the DJs because the DJs should know if they play a certain song, certain people will react a certain way. Like that song that they might play might make somebody want to try to hurt somebody else. So they have to be cautious of that because this is a different era. This is not like you could go partying and you could just have a good time or whatever. There's a lot of these guys that go to the club and they want to just start trouble. They want to just be there scoping things out. They want to mean mug people for no reason. It's like they want to start trouble. And I was like, I mean, it doesn't even make sense. I'm like, that's where he does make an interesting point there. Um, but I mean, there's certain things that he said that I agree with. Some like I felt like he was a little out of touch with, but it is what it is. He's a pioneer. He's one of the forefathers of hip hop. So I can never disrespect that guy because without him, there's no way hip hop would be where it is right now. I wouldn't be in love with it. I wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't for guys like him and these other pioneers that paved the way for these rappers right now. So I'll forever always have respect for them. Um, for everything that they did for the game. Like, I don't care, if they're not the richest um, rapper out there. That doesn't mean anything. It's the impact that you have on the game that lasts more. Like, there's a lot of guys that have the money, but the impact, they don't really have that impact in the game. But once you have an impact, they'll never forget you. Like, you'll always be remembered. You'll always have a special place in hip hop, and they can never take that away. Um, and I'll just leave it at that. I would like to thank everybody who tuned into my video. Until next time, peace.